Right now, 98% of people watching this video are walking into a psychological trap, and they aren't even aware of it. It's an invisible operation in your shadows. It intercepts your ambitions, it manufactures your failures, and it forces you to stay stuck. The North didn't see this as a flaw. They saw it as a dark underground forge. And in the next couple of minutes, I'm gonna show you how to navigate this labyrinth, confront the beast, and rewrite the blueprint that shapes your reality. Right now, a hidden operator deep within your shadow is actively manufacturing your failure, and you are paying him to do it. What if I told you that the reason you procrastinate, freeze up, and feel stuck has absolutely nothing to do with laziness? You have the potential to become a conscious creator of your success, but right now you are fighting a losing battle against your own biology. It's because the forge in your mind in Svartalfheim is cold. In this video, you will get the precise neuro-psychological and methodological method of how to rewrite your blueprint. And you will know how to stop the cycle of self-sabotage, transform fear and pressure into raw action power. We are mapping out the Yggdrasil Matrix. In our last video, we climbed to the absolute peak, Asgard, to access higher consciousness and vision through meditation. But a vision in the clouds is completely worthless without manifestation. Svartalfheim, the world of the black elves and the dwarfs, sit directly opposite Alfheim, the world of mental clarity. Where Alfheim chooses your direction, Svartalfheim is where your inner dwarf manifests those thoughts into the physical world, or sabotage you from the shadows. Mythology tells us that the dwarfs originally started out as maggots in the flesh of the primordial giant Ymir. But the gods, they gave them reason and human intelligence. The dwarfs, they represent the raw primordial matter transformed by consciousness. This underground world is where every single piece of structure and value is forced. Yes, Thor lives in Asgard, but he was nowhere without Svartalfheim. His belt of power, his glove, his hammer, Mjolnir, everything is made in Svartalfheim. Also, his mother is the earth itself. Hi, miss. And in a few minutes, I'm gonna show you exactly how to buckle that legendary belt of power and shadow 20 years of unconscious resistance. But first you need to understand the dark labyrinth and the monster that is guarding it. Modern neuropsychology shows that your brain operates in two primary attention networks. You have your dorsal attention networks up in Alfheim. That is your conscious vision. This is where you sit down and think, on Monday I'm launching my new business. I'm starting my routine. I'm changing my life. When you look at the old Norse sources, like the Poetic Edda, you find out something very fascinating about Svartalfheim. Because unlike Asgard that is guarded by Heimdall, Svartalfheim and the world of the dwarfs They have no central gatekeeper, they have no king. Instead, it is described as this very dark labyrinth, mines and caves, and all the dwarfs are individually guarding their own treasures. This is funny because it's kind of like your own subconscious mind. Deep within this neural labyrinth sits your RAS, Reticular Activating System. The RAS is your brain's ultimate attention filter, and it doesn't act like a polite border guard. It acts exactly like Fafnir, the famous dwarf from the myth that became so consumed with greed and protection that he transformed into a terrifying fire-breathing dragon to hoard and protect his treasure. Most people will try to kill this dragon. They think the anxiety it breathes into their chest is their enemy, but they're wrong. A little bit later, I'm going to show you that this fire is actually a liquid gold reservoir, and exactly how to harvest it. Let's look at how this internal loop gets programmed and how you accidentally breathe the dragon. Let's look at how this internal loop gets programmed and how you accidentally breathe your dragon. It happens through a constant feedback loop, and Norse mythology mapped this out perfectly. It starts with Ratatoskr running up and down the trunk of Yggdrasil. He doesn't create the thought himself. He's the messenger, your nervous system. But Ratatoskr, he loves gossip and insults. So he carries messengers from the dragon Nidhogg at the roots to the eagle at the top of Yggdrasil. Watch how this paralyzes your daily life through the metaphor of the blacksmith. The thought Ratatoskr runs into your conscious mind with a dirty ink sketch of thoughts. You will fail just like last time. Or who do you think you are trying to build this? It whispers, this is too hard. You haven't made a single dime yet. Or remember what happened last time. The emotion. You look at the sketch and your body reacts with a feeling, a gut-wrenching drop of anxiety or stress. By feeling it, you approve the sketch and stamp it with your emotional energy. The belief, when you approve the same toxic sketch day after day, it gets filed away as a permanent master blueprint in your mental archives. A belief is born. The RAS, Fafnir, now your chief blacksmith. Your RAS, your internal Fafnir dragon, takes the blueprint. He refuses to look at any other designs. He orders all the minor dwarfs, your neurons, to scan the world exclusively for raw materials that matches his exact layout. Confirmation and conviction. Your inner dwarfs bring back only the dark clay and heavy gravel of setbacks. They forge it, and the result is a heavy, hardened sword of conviction, an unshakable certainty that locks you into your old, limited identity. If ancient Norse mythology feels a bit distant for you, let's use something else to describe the exact same process. Let's talk about social media algorithms. Your mind functions exactly like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. In this modern scenario, Ratatoskr is your push notifications. He's the constant stream of automated pop-ups from your past, your ego, and your insecurities trying to hijack your attention. The emotion and your beliefs are your click behavior. Every time Ratatoskr sends you a negative pop-up, you click on it, you dwell on it, you read the comments in your own head, and you spend your emotional currency on it. Your brain locks this engagement and say, aha, you spend a massive amount of time looking at failures, anxiety and limitation. This must be what you want. This becomes your user profile, your belief. And this is where your RAS steps in as your platform algorithm. It updates immediately based on your click behavior. It says, fair enough, clear your home feed. From now on, filter out all the videos about success and wealth and possibilities, and only show the one about struggling and why things can't happen. The minor dwarfs are the content creators working for the platform. They sit in the dark, endlessly producing real-life scenarios about your fears in your real world. They feed you confirmation, proof that you're stuck, until you're so brainwashed by your own feed that it hardens into a conviction. Do you think your feed is objective reality? No, you're just looking at a mirror image of the garbage you clicked on yesterday. The question is, how do we force quit this application? How do we wipe the server clean? The guards discovered how to do this. A tiny silk ribbon woven by invisible things. And it was so thin, but at the same time, it could hold your worst fear in a stranglehold. And of course, I'll tell you about this ribbon. But first, you must know about the hypnotic rhythm. This brings us to the ultimate mistake most people make. They try to change their lives from the outside in. They think 3-2-1 sequence, focusing completely on layer 3, action and results. They say, if I just force myself to work harder, make more money, or force myself to go to the gym, then my life will change, and then I'll become a new person. But human biology doesn't work that way. This is what the legendary Napoleon Hill wrote about, and he called it the law of hypnotic rhythm. Think of it as the steady hypnotic beat of the blacksmith's hammer and the rhythmic pumping of the bellow in your subconscious forge. When this loop between thought, feeling and action have been happening for over 20 years, something heavy happens. Your RAS becomes a stubborn old blacksmith, your Fafnir dragon. He isn't trying to attack you. He's just defending his treasure. He's protecting old craftsmanship, the familiar limitations, the comfort zone you approved with your emotional stamp. He's deeply stuck in his ways. Every single time you hand him a blueprint of success, Fafnir refuses to change his process. It's impossible to talk the dragon into reason using only simple logic. Instead, he gets defensive, breathing fire and anxiety into your nervous system, trying to force you into your old ways. If a rhythm runs long enough in the forge, nature makes it permanent and automatic. It becomes a locked, automated rhythm. This is why 98% of people spend their entire lives on autopilot. trapped in a loop of their own past and beliefs, while only 2% ever breaks free to use the true power of their minds. To master this law, you have to consciously use the rhythm to lock in success and discipline before nature fixes your habit forever. You cannot fight the dragon from the outside. You must charge the source from the inside out. 1, 2, 3. You do this in 3 steps. Definiteness of purpose. You must decide exactly what you want with absolute clarity. You define the exact shape of the new blueprint you want to forge. 2. Disciplined thought. You must control your dominant focus. And this is where you buckle Megindjord, Thor's legendary belt of power. In the myth, Megindjord doubles Thor's godlike strength. In your mind, it represents the raw, conscious willpower and absolute thought discipline required to override the stubborn old dragon. You use this double strength to repeat positive, constructive actions every single day, forging new neural pathways into the dark, overriding Fafnir's old habits. 3. Automated rhythm. In the beginning, maintaining this focus requires immense willpower. But over time, the hypnotic rhythm of the forge takes over the heavy lifting. The steady strikes of the hammer automates your discipline. What used to feel like exhausting uphill work now becomes your natural, automatic way of living, hardening your new habits into pure, unshakable gold. To break the hypnotic rhythm and step out of the 98%, you must realize that the financial pressure, anxiety, or discomfort you feel right now is not your enemy. Listen to me very carefully. The discomfort, the anxiety, the difficulty you feel when you're stuck, it's not your enemy, it's your raw material. But before you can forge something new, you have to tame the beast that is tearing your mind apart. In the myth, the Fenrir wolf, he grows so massive and terrifying that he threatened to devour the whole world. The gods tried to bind him twice, with heavy metal chains, with willpower and force, but Fenrir, he shattered it like glass. Why? Because you cannot bind subconscious fear with an external force. Your fear of failure is the Fenrir wolf. He lives in the subconscious shadows, waiting to devour your dreams. You cannot bind him with cold logic. And you definitely cannot fight him by screaming at yourself from Asgard. You have to do what the gods did. Send a message down to the deep forge for Gleipnir, the chain that looks like a smooth, fragile silk ribbon, but are woven from 6 impossible microscopic invisible ingredients. This is one of my favorite things. This artifact is woven from the sound of a cat's footfall, the beard of a woman, the root of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. Gleipnir represents your implementation integration, your daily micro habits. They look fragile, but they are the only thing strong enough to keep your greatest fear in a stranglehold. They represent the tiny, silent, unnoticeable actions you take when no one is watching. Individually, a cat's footfall is completely silent, but when woven together through consistency, they create a cybernetic web so strong that your greatest fear are placed in an absolute chokehold. Deep underneath Svartalfheim's rocks and metals and gems and golds, there's also oil, raw liquid energy. What is oil? It is matter that has been trapped under an absolute crushing physical pressure for millions of years, until it transformed into pure fuel. The financial pressure you feel, the anger at your current situation, the fear of never being free, that is your oil. That is your reservoir of real dopamine. We are going to use that pressure to light the furnace. To tame your inner Fafnir dragon, you must start from the inside out with layer 1, identity, and conscious decide who you are, totally ignoring what your current circumstances might tell you. When you feel that immense pressure, that vulnerability, that's actually when your subconscious is the most plastic, the most moldable. Here's the 2-step protocol to override the old process. Neurovisualization. In a famous study conducted at the University of Chicago, a city where I actually lived and worked for a while, researchers tested 3 groups of basketball players. The first group physically practiced free throws every day and improved by 24%. The second group did absolutely nothing and showed no improvement at all. But the third group only visualized making the free throws. They closed their eyes, felt the texture of the ball, and intensely experienced the emotional success of the ball hitting the net. They never touched a physical baseball. Yet they improved by 23%, almost the same as the group that practiced. Your brain cannot tell the difference between an intense internal experience and an outer reality. You must close your eyes and feel your outcome as already real. Wipe the slate clean. Charge that outgoing thought with deep emotion until it becomes a new belief. Then consciously order your RAS algorithm to look for proof. Force it to find small wins and hidden opportunity in Midgard. Two, the blacksmith's if-then protocol. The moment Ratatoskr tries to pop up on your mental screen with old toxic notifications, remember, they are just ideas. You do not have to accept them. You buckle Mekkenjord, Thor's belt of power, which represents your raw conscious will. You execute your contract. If I feel the paralysis of the old rhythm, then I will immediately close every single tab and strike the raw iron on my anvil in the new rhythm for exactly 5 minutes. Your brain's resistance completely breaks down after 5 minutes. You take that massive emotional pressure, your oil, and inject it directly into the furnace to melt the old limitations away. Your inner dwarfs are waiting in the dark for your commands. They were the one that forged Odin's spear, Gleipnir, the spear that never misses. That is your unwavering focus. They forged Frey's ship, Gleipnir, which can be folded up into a little bitty thing that fits into your pocket. That is your mental flexibility. Everything of structure, everything of value is forged in the dark from the inside out. So let's buckle the belt, chain the wolf, and let's strike some iron. If you want to map out the rest of the 9-world matrix, there's a link in the description. So hit the subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.